Hi, I'm Karma, and in my short time on YouTube, I've built with some questionable blocks before. Some are honestly quite forgiving, and others not so much. But today's challenge? This might honestly be the worst decision yet, and I don't even have a chaos wheel to hide behind. No, this was all me. Shelves, doors, they're decorations that were never meant to hold anything up. Sure, they're beautiful and amazing for adding decoration, but structural? Not even close. So the question is, can I actually build something that looks good using materials that are one wind charge away from total collapse and completely impractical in use? Probably not, but hey, we're here to find out. If you enjoy watching bad decisions hopefully turn into some great builds, let me know down in the comments. I'd be super excited to see if you guys would ever consider building with these materials or if I'm just a little bit insane. But without further ado, let's get into it. I began just as I would with any other build process, and that's with a layout. But I will come clean to you guys, this was not my first attempt at this. I struggled so much with this as a concept that I had about 5 failed projects under my belt before going into this. It was difficult and I didn't expect it. I thought this was going to be a goofy little video that I would put together in no time at all, and it ended up taking quite a long time. Trying to think in full blocks instead of the half blocks that these are reminiscent of was actually quite difficult, because when you end up putting trapdoors together, you can't really have any variation aside from a full block. Otherwise you get these weird gaps and stuff like that around the place. It was very difficult to make the mentality shift, and I think in the end it ended up coming out really well, but I will not say that this wasn't a challenge and an exercise in a little bit of different skills that I had to apply. I don't want you guys to get the wrong idea. When I went into this, I did have a brief understanding of what I wanted to do and I had a layout in mind, but actually executing it in the moment made me genuinely feel stupid. I should have probably recorded some live audio, because there was times where I was sitting there looking at what I was doing and just not understanding why it wasn't looking good. It's something that sounds so trivial, being that I am a builder and I claim to be a good builder at that, but having to think in these abstract shapes and not full blocks made it very difficult for some reason, and I don't know if that's just me being a little bit stupid or if it is actually a challenge. I would love to hear down in the comments below if you guys would even attempt tackling something like this, or if it's something that's so out of the wheelhouse of what's normal in building that it too would fry your brain like it did mine. I found that adding small details was actually a lot harder than I was initially expecting, and bringing any life to it felt a little like pulling out teeth. The blocks weren't fully centered and it had this weird sort of gap between a lot of the walls that I was fighting with a lot of the time. And that's not even getting started on the roof. I can say comfortably that I never want to build another trapdoor roof ever again because of how long it took just to mentally figure out where everything was meant to go. It looks deceiving when it's sped up, but I kid you not, it probably took about 30 minutes just to get the roof done alone. It took forever. But as you can see, I'm adding these planter boxes at the front and you can sort of see where the issues lie. I would have probably liked to add more around each of the sides, but it just wasn't a full block, so I couldn't do anything with any of the other full blocks that I had supplied. And that made it really difficult to add in basic details. But on top of that, I didn't want to hide the fact that it was made of trapdoors and shelves. So I was sort of walking this middle line between adding enough detail to make it look interesting while not adding enough to hide it completely. And as someone that loves details, let me tell you, that was a challenge all into itself. Now I want to say, if any of you guys ever want to try this yourselves, I would highly recommend you download the mod World Edit, because it was very tedious to flip up all these trapdoors and make sure everything fit well. So as you saw throughout the video, I ended up copy and pasting a lot of areas and then tweaking them once I had them in place. It made it so much more streamlined, and while it was still tedious as all get out, it made it a little bit more bearable. So if you guys ever want to take on this challenge, I recommend that highly. highly. And finally, we are finished. I added a couple of planter boxes out front for a little bit of visual interest, but I think overall this build came together way better than I was expecting, and it was a fun little mental challenge in the building sphere. If you guys enjoyed this content, please let me know down in the comments below. I really have been loving reading all your comments on my videos, and I really appreciate you guys supporting me so much through my little passion project here on YouTube. But I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll see you again next week. Bye bye.